You know, there's a saying, nothing is certain except for death and taxes. And it's true, even for the ones that are super rich and super powerful, at least the death part anyways. I'm talking about world leaders. The ones that are currently in charge, no matter if you agree or disagree with them, they have the most power to influence the global order. People like the President of the United States, the General Secretary of the Communist Party of China, or the President of Russia. These are real people, just like us normal humans. And just like normal humans, they will eventually leave this earth one day. And that is guaranteed. When that time comes, there will be people to replace them. And it could be one of us Gen Zers. But don't get your hopes up too high, since the average age of the top leaders are in their 60s or 70s. Regardless, Gen Z will one day become the leaders of some of the most powerful countries on the planet. But what would it look like? Will there be less instability? Will economies do better? Will leaders talk to each other instead of threatening each other? Gen Zs are born between 1997 and 2009, so this year they're 16 to 28 years old. As a Gen Z person myself, it feels like we are so disconnected from the world. Most of us work 9 to 5s, pay sky high rent, pay sky high grocery prices, and wonder when we will actually own a house or own anything at all. Meanwhile, young people in China are already laying flat, giving up on any future hopes and dreams. Either that or working their hats off without getting a better life. And in Russia, well, you know, we barely have the time or capacity to dive into politics. Sure, some of us have our own political views, but we Gen Zs don't make much of a dent in political decisions. Given that we are so broke and poor, as compared to the older generations, we automatically have less power and influence. But one day, one of us or some of us will get a place on the throne. Then what happens? Will the world be better? Here's what could happen. The world will be more peaceful. Yes, I genuinely think this will be. This doesn't mean that there won't be any conflict. This doesn't mean that there won't be war. But there will be way less than what it is right now. Us Gen Z grew up in an era when there's very little physical conflicts. Not many of us are drafted to wars or having to endure the horror of wars. This applies not to only Western countries, but also to many other countries around the world. It means that we don't have experience or affinity for warfare. We understand the importance of having global peace and maintaining it. We saw what war and trauma did to our parents or grandparents and would prefer not to have it repeated. If anything, we will duke it out online through Reddit or X. That's how we prefer to solve our problems. How we talk and communicate with each other will change a lot. Few decades before, countries were sending letters or having phone calls to each other. Nowadays, we just have announcements through social media. We already see it through a billionaire and president fighting each other online as an example. People just skip the formalities that have to do with communicating with people or organizations. We text a few emojis and the other person would get it instantly. Or we can throw in a few memes and slangs for a more complicated and sophisticated message. More extremism. The problem is not that young people are exposed to different point of views. The big problem is young people, the Zoomers, are constantly hit with the same views over and over again. The same news sources, the same people that are spewing the same narratives over and over again, which is what makes a giant echo chamber. We are constantly online, scrolling through social media, and it tells us we are right all the time. The red pill, black pill, blue pill, leftist is bad, right wing is bad, capitalism is bad, democracy is bad, communism is good, and so on and so forth. The world is only gonna become more polarized and more divided. It's never gonna become like the past ever again. Less dictatorships. Less dictatorships doesn't mean no dictatorships. But what separates us from boomers is that we tend to take in different advice and different opinions more than they do. We love to defy authorities, we have our own opinions, and we stand up for it regardless of being right or being wrong. This means we want representation, and we do not want anyone to make decisions for us. So us Zoomers won't be voting for people that resemble as a dictator. And the ones that are in a dictatorship now will slowly move away from that model. Why do I believe this? Because we didn't grow up having to fight for our food. We didn't have to endure hunger and malnutrition. We just go to the supermarket and buy it. It's just that cost of living is the problem. We also have more access to information more than ever, faster than ever. And yes, it does lead to more extremists, but we generally become more educated thanks to the free resources we have on the internet, which is not a good recipe for dictators. They rely on the masses being brainwashed and having instability or something that is a huge social problem like hunger or diseases, but that is not something we have in the modern day. And it doesn't mean that dictatorships won't exist. It just means that people in general are more informed and they can see through the dictators' BS and not having to fall for them. More social issues. Our mental health and everyone's mental health is in the dumps right now. I suspect it's gonna get much worse in the future with growing social issues, societal issues, and economic issues. Being terminally online and exposed to social media constantly doesn't help either. We don't get the social interaction we need. We don't live like a normal human being. Our eyes are either on the phone or on the computer and not on the person we are talking to. And yes, I said it, not like a normal human being, not like how normal human beings used to live. Because of that, we're gonna have so much unmet social needs, and that's gonna brew some crazy social issues in the future. More environmentally conscious policies. Zoomers are very environmentally conscious. Generally speaking, we would buy things that are sustainable and environmentally friendly, even if that thing costs us a bit more. We engage more with companies and people that promote sustainability, which means policies and companies that follow this trend are more likely to succeed in the future compared to the ones that don't. What could happen is future politicians will cater to these trends, and policies, along with politicians, will become more environmentally conscious, or at least on the surface anyways. It will create more cost to the society, but that's what's gonna get votes and support. Human nature. Even though there are many distinctions across many generations, the truth is we are all still humans. And that means whatever happened in the past, like mistakes and more mistakes will happen again in the future. History doesn't always repeat itself exactly, but it rhymes. We will always want greed, want power, more resources, more this, more that. Gen Zs are no different than boomers in this regard. The question is, in what form of greed and power will Gen Zs pursue? In conclusion, these are just some of the aspects that could change. In reality, life is unpredictable, the world is unpredictable, and actually what I've said could totally be wrong. Feel free to agree or disagree, but what do you think? Will the world change for the better when Gen Zs take power? Comment down below and let me know. Thanks for watching.